I originally come from Venice region in Italy, the city on the water. I'm sure you heard of Venice. But what many of you probably don't know is Conegliano, the city of art and wine. Why it's called the city of art and wine? To understand the wine part of the equation, you just need to walk in any supermarket or wine store and grab a bottle of Prosecco. 90% of the worldwide production of Prosecco comes from Conegliano and the hills around the city, like Valdobbiadene and the area of Soligo and so on.
Told you.
And for the art, well, just Google art and Conegliano, and probably something about the Cima da Conegliano will pop up. He was an Italian Renaissance painter. He mostly worked in Venice, but he was from Conegliano, and you can find his paintings all over the world. Conegliano is also packed with music. There are a lot of music venues and bars. This is where I grew up and where I like to go back from time to time. When I'm in town, I always meet and work with other musicians, DJs and producers, and one of them is Omar Peruzza. We both started to work with music back in the 90s, both play guitar, both worked as DJs. Both have a very strong background in terms of music production and sound engineering. We played together several times. We never stopped exploring with music, with our solo projects and of course also together as a duo. During my last trip in Italy, we met at Omar's studio on the hills near Conegliano. It's a beautiful place. The goal was to record a live set together, but this time with a different approach. This time we wanted to be more dynamic. So when we were preparing the equipment, I got this idea of routing Omar's output into my sound system and vice versa, mine into his line of effects, so that on top of what we normally do, this basically enabled us also to play each other's sounds live. And it was the very first time we tried to play together with this setup in this way. We created a new atmosphere, unique in many ways. In fact, the result was quite surprising for us as well. He used a handmade machine with rotating wheels. Each wheel has magnets attached to it at different distance. And so when the wheels turn, the magnets hit some small microphones placed on top of the machine. The signal then goes into a drum synth, which generates the actual sound, and the output is then modulated with pedal effects like these. These are pedal effects that are normally used by guitar players and bass players, and yeah, we use them to make electronic music. The challenge with this machine, every time Omar uses this machine actually, is the tempo, because obviously it's never perfect. So if you want to play with Omar, you really need to be 100% focused, because you must keep the tempo all the time, as almost as if you were mixing a record. If you let go for a second, you are out of sync. I used two Roland synthesizers, the same that I use in my machine solo sets. The TR-8, which gives me all the classic drum sounds like the 808, 909, and then the TB-3 for all the 303 acid sounds that, like many, I just can't stop loving. And at the center I had my sound system. This is something that I have created with Ableton and external MIDI controllers. With this system I can capture, loop and process live any kind of sound input. So the sound comes in from the synthesizer or any other external audio input to my sound card, and then I control it with my MIDI controllers that I map to process, like any synthesizer, the speed, the tune, the attack, decay and release of the sounds that I capture into the system. And Omar said, like, why don't you add an harmonizer there? And I did, and it, you know, we got this crazy effect out of it, and so it was pretty cool. We divided the program in two segments. Thanks to this routing system in our setup, in the first segment I was modulating Omar's signal with my sound system, and in the second segment he modulated my sounds with his effects. No records, no pre-recorded sound, no samples. It was all done live. We have already done live sets together, but we've never filmed them, so this time we got it on video. And I have set up 3 cameras, a front wide angle and 2 side cameras, one next to me and one next to Omar. Halfway in, and the camera next to me on my side stopped working. I guess because of an internal timer that stops from recording long videos on the Nikon, I guess, but we still had 2 cameras rolling, so of course we kept playing. The other camera on Omar's side was actually an iPhone camera mounted on a Gorilla tripod, and it was perfect to film him from that angle because we didn't have much space there. Now on the same iPhone we have also set an alarm to remind us of the end of the set, otherwise we would have kept going on playing for hours. Well, we found out that when the alarm goes off, the iPhone stops recording. So after the alarm told us to wrap up, for the very last part of the set we were flying only with the front camera. The cool thing though is that at a certain point during the set, the sun started to hit directly the lens of the camera next to Omar, so we got this beautiful sun glare effect, and what made it super cool was the fact that this camera on Omar's side wasn't only hit directly by the sun, but also by the sound. You see, the other 2 cameras were positioned behind and next to the area of action of the speakers. But this camera was facing directly one of the 2 speakers, so whenever we dropped the kick or the bass, the camera started to vibrate, generating this crazy glowing effect at tempo with the music, so it turned out to be pretty awesome. I must say that it was quite challenging to edit the video and keep it entertaining all the way through with fewer camera angles, but it's done and I hope you will enjoy it. After the set we were really happy about what we created, but there was still one thing missing, a name, a title to frame it. We still didn't know how to call it, and it was when I came back to London that it hit me. I was walking back home at night. I was walking in a park, and I stopped looking at the stars while I was listening to the track that we recorded, and I started to wonder how it would feel like traveling in space, maybe at crazy speed through all those stars, and maybe be able to stop all of a sudden where I like the most, to enjoy the view while floating surrounded by billions of galaxies. And so I grabbed my phone and I sent right away a message to Omar, and I say, hey, what if we call it spaceflight? And he loved it, so that was it.